very popular among drug heads. I really liked what everybody said, bikini drunk especially, and then intentionally sober, so now I'm conflicted. But on the way over here, I was thinking about fear and love, and you just can't have one without the other. Because the minute you start thinking I'm in love with somebody or love something, that's the second that fear just fucks it all up. And sometimes you don't even get the love part first. You get the fear part first. You get the shit part of the love equation first. And I call those love's shit sandwiches. So this is a story about a shit sandwich that I got memorably in high school. A diabolical time, a feast of sandwiches. I went to a 2,000 person high school. And at any given moment, there were 500 people in every hallway. Except after the tornado grade bell that went off, hallway population went to 0 because you needed a hall pass to roam the hallways. And those were hard to get, but one day I needed to retrieve my report from my locker. And so I was strolling down the hallway, and empty as usual. And as I turned the corner, I noticed there was somebody leaning against the lockers, kind of where my locker was located. And I knew exactly who that was, with his dark jeans, his perfectly scuffed construction boots, the chain that went delicately from his wallet to his belt loop, red flannel shirt, and his long flowing black hair. It was Tony, my massive crush. And just to set the stage of what this looked like at that time, I grew very fast and very tall. So I was this kind of gangly thin that didn't have full mastery over my limbs and muscle. So sometimes I would just do surprising things without my knowledge. So I was focusing on, just walking, and I just got immediately nervous, and I started sweating. So the cherry of the cupcake of gangly thin was that I was a profuse armpit sweater. So I knew I had to keep my arms close to me, my pass, and I was thinking, as you are probably thinking right now, how lucky. There's Tony, it's just me and him, there's nobody in the hallway, this is our moment, he's gonna look into my eyes and think, I love you. I was like, yes. So now I'm practicing, okay, I've got to talk to Tony, and I'm thinking, and I was like, hey, Tony, serendipitous of us to be here. And it's just like, okay, no, that's just stupid. So basically, I just blacked out by the time I got to Tony. And I walked right up to him, and I was face to side of his face, and there's no one in the hallway except for me, Tony, and Deborah, the cute, do everything right cheerleader, who was making out with Tony on my locker. That is a shit sandwich. And sometimes love gives you a side serving of fuck my life pudding. Because at that very moment, a smell assaulted all of us. It was so foul that it broke apart Deborah and Tony. And he looked into my eyes and went, oh my God. And he grabbed Deborah and they ran laughing into the fluorescent horizon. So I had a moment at my locker to really think about the event that just occurred. And I decided to dig deep into my love toolbox. And I pulled out denial and delusion. And I thought 3 things. 1, maybe this didn't happen. 2, Tony has to know that could have only been conjured by somebody named Deborah. And yes, her name was Deborah. And last year, and every year before that, her name was Deborah. And 3, I think Tony loves me. So, to my credit though, as the months went on, Tony's and I's relationship did progress. I would see him in the hallway, and I would say hi, and he would say hey. And so when I heard that he was gonna ask somebody to the junior prom, I immediately thought, could be me. So it was gonna happen at lunchtime, and I thought, well, today, I had looked Tony in the eyes, I was walking down the hallway, and I said, hey, and he went, hi. So he pointed at me. And I thought, bang, bang, hoo-hoo. I'm asking you to the senior prom or junior prom. I had all the clues, I was so smart. He was telling me in his secret way, I'm the one. So lunchtime came, and I positioned myself in the smoking area. And yes, my school had a smoking area. But the freshmen weren't allowed, which was just great for everybody. So I kind of set myself up in front of the cool girls, and immediately I'm starting to sweat because I'm like, oh my God, it's gonna happen. So I'm standing there with my books, I'm trying to position myself with my soda because I don't smoke, and I'm standing there by myself. And then the light starts shining from the distance. Here comes Tony with his Beyonce hair, smiling at me. And I was like, oh my God, it's happening. And he's looking right at me, and he's walking right towards me. And he comes right up to me, and he says, excuse me, and he taps Jessica on the shoulder. And Jessica turns around, and he says, will you go with me to the junior prom? Aww. And Jessica says, I'd love to, Tony. And I'm like, and it's, again, shit sandwich number 2. So they're happy. Everybody cheers. Wee, they're gonna go on this junior prom. And I laughed, and I thought it was funny. So I told all my friends, and they thought it was funny. I told my entire family, they thought it was hysterical. And I came to realize that I was laughing at my fear. I was laughing at all the things I did to mask fear. And when I started stepping into fear, I started loving fear, I realized that fear wasn't entropy. It wasn't chaos that devolved into more chaos, to avoid it at all costs. Fear was this superposition of possibilities. So when you stepped into it, when I started really looking for fear, I just bypassed all that bullshit of fear and went straight to the possibilities. And on the other side, I found some of the greatest love stories I've ever known. And just like tonight, when I stepped into fear, I just got a really cool love sandwich.